Hello and welcome to a Grateful Studio tutorial. Let's make a Pueblo blanket. Let's get started with 1/4 block of green, a half a block of yellow. If you're looking at a package, you're going to need half that package of yellow. You're also going to need 1/4 block of red and 1/4 block of magenta. You're also going to need a half a block of black. Any color or any brand will do. I'm using Premo for today's tutorial. You will also need a flathead screwdriver, an Xacto blade. We'll be using that to cut out the space for the light switch. A Wavy tissue blade, a regular tissue blade, a texture sheet. I love this texture sheet. And these cutters, which are called Aztec cutters, and I will have the link to these below. You will also need a light switch plate cover. I'm using a small one that measures approximately 4.5 by just over 3 inches, I believe. You'll need some white paint, and you'll need some Vera thane water-based polyurethane in clear matte. Make sure it is the water-based matte, unless you want your blanket to be shiny. You also need some Sculpey bakeable medium. You can use clear, translucent, black, white, it doesn't matter, whatever works for your project. You will also need 2 paintbrushes, a soft semi-wide, a very small thin one for small spaces, and a ball tool. Here I'm going to be making a blend with the yellow, the red, and the magenta. I want the blend to be nice and smooth, so I'm going to be putting this through my pasta machine a lot more times than what you see here. Place it on this paper just so that it doesn't stick. This clay seems to be really fresh, so I don't want it to stick to my tile. Now I'm going to be making a blend with just the green and the yellow. Now that I have these all completely made out with a thickness of 4 on my pasta machine on both of these, I'm going to be using my Wavy blade. I don't even know what exactly it's called, but I'm going to be using this blade, and I'm going to put each piece together, but I'm going to offset it. This is the Bargello effect, except using the Wavy blade, so it gives a really cool effect. Effect. and burnish it again after I cut these edges off. Now that I'm finished putting these together, I'm going to put a piece of copying paper over the top and I'm going to burnish this. And I'm not going to burnish it hard, I'm just going to burnish it solidly and for a good long time, probably about 4 minutes, 5 minutes, just to make sure everything's smooth. And I need to flip it over and burnish it again. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the yellow and the green, only I'm not going to be using my wavy blade, just the regular flat tissue blade. And I'm going to do the same effect, which is the Bargello effect. I'm just cutting off the edges here just to make... Again, I just need to add a piece of copying paper over the top and burnish this nice and solidly so that the pieces run together and they don't break apart on me while I'm moving them around. And again, I will be turning this over as well and burnishing both. Just to make sure I have a nice clean piece to work with. Now to add our black. I put this at a thickness of 5 and I'm going to use my texture sponge to give it some good texture. I want it to look like a blanket, so I want it nice and I want a lot of texture to it. The size of the black, the amount of black you'll need depends on the size of your light switch plate. I'm using a small one because I want this to drape over onto the wall when I hang it up. So it's not going to match exactly up to my light switch plate. And here I'm going to use these Aztec cutters. I'm taking the largest one and I'm trying to get the best amount of maroon, red, and yellow on one piece that I can. I should have made this just a little bit thinner so I could get all those colors, but I didn't quite get it that straight for me. So keep that in mind when you're creating this. You might want to have all the colors in one cut for the largest Aztec cutter, just so that you can have that nice pretty blend. I'm just fixing the edges before I put it on here, flopping it around. And I'm just trying to line it up best I know how. I am not measuring. I usually don't. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. And now I'm taking the tiniest Aztec cutter and I'm going to make 3 cuts so that I get all the colors here on both sides of both these pieces. And I want to line these up so that they kind of match how the largest cut would blend together. And don't push these down yet, because you might want to move them around. It's sticking to my finger, so I gotta push it off my finger. I'm just using my needle tool here just to kind of fix a little corner piece that I saw was poking out. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing, clean up the edges, and then add them just like they are above. And like I said, you're going to want to move these around just to kind of try and get some of you can measure this so that you will get this more straight, but I wasn't looking for perfection because it's still going to look beautiful. Now I'm going to repeat the same process for the green and yellow, only I'm going to use kind of a medium-sized cutter. I think this is the second largest or third largest, I can't remember. And now back to my tiniest cutter again, and I'm going to see if I can fit 4 more cuts onto this blanket. That I have this the way I want to, I'm going to lightly burnish it. I do not want to smush my Aztec pieces into the clay below them. I just want to make sure that they are solidly a part of the black background. And now I'm going to take and make a black snake, and I want to cut a bunch of tiny pieces to make corners for my rug. And I'm going to make some balls too, to kind of secure the little tiny bits of rug in the corners. And now I'm going to use a tiny flathead screwdriver to add like sewing spots. It looks like it's been sewn in these spots, so it just kind of gives it some more texture, some more stuff to look at. I think it really gives a beautiful aesthetic. in the corners. Now I'm making 5, how should I say this, cords or strings per corner, and then I'm going to use a ball, and that's going to be kind of my like tie for the cords at the corners.